Good morning this Remembrance Sunday. The Tet Offensive of 1968 was one of the largest military campaigns of the Vietnam War. A series of coordinated attacks by the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong. It took the Allies in the South completely by surprise. At first, a local Special Forces reconnaissance unit just outside the city of Chau Doc thought that the bright lights and explosions were part of the New Year's celebrations. But the dull thump of mortars quickly changed their minds. This was hugely significant. Chau Doc especially was of massive strategic importance. Whoever occupied it effectively controlled the thousands of inland waterways that crisscrossed the Mekong Delta, home to incredibly fertile land, but more worryingly, the perfect base for guerrilla warfare. Chau Doc had been overrun, but it needed to be retaken. So on January the 31st, that small detachment of special forces set out in a flotilla of PBRs, American fast patrol boats. Their mission? To recapture their base of operation where they'd find additional ammunition and weapons, but also a secure line to Saigon where they could call for reinforcements. The heavily armed PBRs laid down smoke and a stream of machine gun fire, whilst the soldiers stormed ashore. Having established a beachhead in the town, they secured the embassy. But soon they learned that an American nurse, 24-year-old Maggie Francott, was stranded in a house near the hospital. She was literally in the middle of a war zone. Her jeep had been shot to pieces, so she had no means to escape, and Viet Cong soldiers surrounded her house, and some of them were actually in her house. With every hushed breath, as she cowered in her hiding place, she expected the Viet Cong to find her. She was utterly and truly helpless. Yet, despite being substantially outnumbered, the fearless PBR skippers and the 8-man SEAL team, led by Staff Sergeant Dix, acted decisively. Braving bullets and RPGs, they fought their way through to the house. And after a massive firefight, they dragged Maggie from the house. She had an injured knee, and they then carried her to one of the waiting boats, where she was whisked to safety. Afterwards, Dix was honoured with the highest presidential citation, the Medal of Honour. But the captain of the PBR that sped her away, well, he did one better. A year later, he married her. What I love about this story, this Remembrance Sunday, is that it sums up two golden threads that weave their way through the whole Bible: rescue and relationship. There may be things about the Bible that you disagree with, you don't get, or you struggle with. Don't worry about those for now. Understand these two crucial themes and you get the Bible. So first of all, rescue. Have no doubt, the rescuers faced a powerful enemy, but they were single-minded in achieving their objective, and they were prepared to lay down their lives if that's what it took to save Maggie. As for her, she was totally helpless. In a perilous position, she couldn't save herself, and she was wholly dependent on someone coming to rescue her. And her position provides a snapshot of every single person who has ever lived. No matter who you are this morning, male, female, old, young, rich, poor, well-covered or trim, each and every one of us has a starting place in life characterized by three things. First, we are in a perilous position, trapped in a sinful life, hurtling towards a face-to-face encounter where we will stand before a God who has a scrapbook of our lives and who will ask us to account for every action, every decision, every thought. And the answer we give is vital, because God can't turn a blind eye, can't overlook even the tiniest sin, because he's holy. That's who he is. And he can't have any sin in heaven, because then heaven wouldn't be perfect. Secondly, we are unable to save ourselves. We are utterly incapable of wiping our slates clean. The Bible says even our holiest actions are like filthy rags. Our best doesn't even come close to earning favour with God, no matter how hard we try. So, assume for one moment that we can live sin-free lives going forward. How do we make amends for all the sins that we've done in the past? It's the perfect catch-22. You have to be sinless to get into heaven, but no one is. And thirdly, that means we are wholly dependent on someone coming to rescue us. Because we're trapped in sinful bodies and continually miss the mark, we're as utterly helpless in the eternal realm as Maggie Francott was in Chowdock. But there is wonderful news. Just as Maggie Francott was plucked to safety, each and every one of us has that chance too. Christmas 2020 won't be normal this year, but the Bible's message will remain the same. Here's a word you can take to heart and depend on. Jesus Christ came into the world to save, to rescue sinners. Easter 2021 might not be normal either, but the Bible's message will remain the same. As Jesus came to the end of his agonizing time on the cross, he said 3 words: "It is finished." What was finished? Everything that needed to be done to rescue us. Can I ask, do you believe that? You can either believe that Jesus did the rescue for you, or you can spend the rest of your life trying and failing to rescue yourself. But this is what I love about the Maggie Francott story. It didn't end with the rescue, and nor does the Bible. So secondly, relationship. Have you ever thought that it would be nice to have a relationship with God? I don't mean a casual acquaintance. I mean a deep, two-way relationship, friendship, as close as a parent with a child. And I don't mean with someone important like the Queen or the President, and I guess we're having to wait and see who wins the presidential election. But let's go with somebody less controversial, shall we? Let's go with Ant and Dec. Everyone loves Ant and Dec. Would you love to have a deep relationship with them? I'm not talking about any human, no matter how powerful, well-respected or well-liked, but the creator of the universe. Does that seem far-fetched? That little you and me, and let's face it, we're pretty insignificant in the eyes of this world, that we can have a relationship with a God who loves to get involved in our lives because he sees us as his children. Well, if that sounds far-fetched, wait for the next bit. He does yearn for a deep two-way relationship with you. He wants to adopt you into his family. You can't get stronger love than that. And if you have the teeniest, tiniest desire to please God more, be reassured by this. We love God. Why? Because he first loved us. It starts with him. Unlike the driver of the patrol boat, whose objective was just to rescue a nurse, God's sole objective was to rescue you so he could share your life with you. And he doesn't want a begrudging relationship. One of the lovely images in the Garden of Eden, which before the fall was a picture of heaven, by the way, is of God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. Why? Because he just wanted to spend time with Adam and Eve. And it's not a relationship that God will bail on either or get fed up of you in. The Lord says, I will still be the same when you are old and grey. I will take care of you. I created you. I will carry you and always, always keep you safe. So, as we conclude, it's right, it's good that we remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice to secure our freedom, lest we forget our solemn words. But can I invite you this Remembrance Sunday to apply those same solemn words to these wonderful golden threads that weave their way through the Bible, lest we forget. Jesus wants to rescue you, and Jesus wants a relationship with you. Not pondering these things would be as foolish as Maggie Francott saying to those soldiers, no rush, everything will turn out all right. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I can sort myself out. Of course she didn't. She saw how desperate her plight was, and she just clung on for dear life. The soldiers did all the work, and so has Jesus. And if you're sitting, watching this morning, thinking quietly to yourself, but there are things in the Bible I struggle with. I actually don't agree with quite a few things. And if all this is true, if God is as loving as you say he is, why? And then fill in the blank, because you'll have questions. Or even, if I'm being really honest, and I don't actually like saying this, but part of me doesn't even like God, you know what? That's just fine. God's big enough to deal with that. He's got broad shoulders. He can cope with your fears and frustrations, and you're not the first to have them anyway. He'll deal with them gently and compassionately, just as a father would with his child. But let me just share one final thing about Maggie Francott. Do you know why she was in Chowdock? She was with the Peace Corps. She was fundamentally and implacably opposed to everything her rescuer stood for. It was like two worlds colliding. And yet, through spending time together, through exploring what each other had to say, through understanding the bigger picture, they were reconciled. Maggie Francott could have said to her boat driver, thank you for mounting the rescue, but I'm going my own way now. With hindsight, we can see that she would have been cutting off her nose to spite her face. She'd have missed out, and he'd have walked away heartbroken. It's no different with you and God. If you say to God, thanks, but no thanks, you'll miss out. And on that final day, you will look back and see you made the biggest mistake of your life. And it's irreversible. And God, well, he'll be heartbroken. But he won't force himself on you, because that's not how relationships work. He wants you to want him. And he's ready. And he's waiting. And he's eager with anticipation, with a warm smile on his face, just like a bridegroom waiting for his bride. Let's just take a few moments. Thank you for spending this Remembrance Sunday with us. We're so sorry that we can't see you face to face. If you do want to sit down and explore these things, please be in touch. The details are on the website. We'd love to sit down with you virtually for the next month or so and go through what the Bible teaches in an honest way. Not preaching at you, but letting you ask your questions, vent your frustrations, state your objections. God won't be offended, and nor will we. But for something so important, you may feel you owe it to yourself to look into this more. And if you've been tempted to look into this before, but the busyness of life has got in this way, then unfortunately we have got another lockdown. But you can use this time wisely. Don't put this decision off anymore. Use this lockdown to enter the most loving, the most cherishing and rewarding relationship you can ever know. Thanks for listening.